Your garden might look peaceful, but under those leaves, it's a full-blown horror movie. And the stars? Creepy, crawly, and absolutely merciless. Every gardener's got a story. The chewed leaves, the wilting stems, the mysterious holes that appear overnight. These tiny terrors don't just invade your plants. They invade your dreams. We're talking the bugs that make even seasoned gardeners shiver. So grab your gloves and your bug spray. It's time to meet the monsters of the mulch. The saddleback caterpillar. You might think caterpillars are harmless little munchers, just fuzzy pre-butterflies living their best leafy life. The saddleback caterpillar exists to prove that nature sometimes designs things specifically to cause pain. It's small, bright, and weirdly stylish, a green and brown creature that looks like someone shrunk a poisonous sea slug and dropped it on your hydrangea. That neon saddle pattern across its back gives it its name. The venomous spines covering every other inch of it give it a reputation. The moment you brush against one, you'll understand why it's earned a spot on this list. The sting is instant and mean. Victims describe it as a hornet's jab cranked up to 11, followed by waves of burning, swelling, and a rash that can last for days. For the unlucky few, the reaction spreads. Nausea, headaches, even lightheadedness. You won't die from it, but you'll wish you had gardening gloves made of steel. Saddlebacks love to hide where your hands naturally go. Under leaves, along stems, or on the back of ornamental plants and fruit trees. They especially enjoy beans, corn, roses, and decorative shrubs. You'll never see them until you do, and by then, it's too late. One moment you're pruning or harvesting. The next, you're hopping around the yard, shaking your hand like it's on fire. Control is simple enough. Snip off the leaf they're lounging on, drop it in a bucket of soapy water, and step away like you just diffused a bomb. Avoid squishing them bare-handed. The spines stay active even after death. If you get stung, tape can help pull out the spines before washing the area and applying an ice pack. Or, as most gardeners do, just swear loudly and learn your lesson. The adult form, a plain brown moth, couldn't be more underwhelming. You'd never connect it to its larval stage, like finding out a tank turns into a paper airplane. But that's the saddleback's trick. It hides its danger behind absurd cuteness and neon camouflage. In a world of gentle inchworms and fuzzy caterpillars, this one's the garden's little electric fence. Decorative, deceptively small, and unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. The hagmoth caterpillar, aka the monkey slug. The hagmoth caterpillar is living proof that not everything in nature needs to make sense. Also known as the monkey slug, this creature looks like a wad of hair that escaped from a clogged shower drain and decided to crawl away. It's covered in tangled, brown, arm-like appendages that stick out in all directions, giving it the unsettling appearance of a hairy, flattened tarantula or a tiny octopus that got lost on land. But beneath the weird disguise lies a nasty surprise. This dust bunny from hell packs a venomous sting. When disturbed, those shaggy arms reveal the venom spines underneath. Brush up against one while trimming a branch or collecting leaves, and you'll instantly know something has gone very wrong. The sting burns like a fire ant bite, but spreads out wider. Some gardeners compare it to being hit with a nettle patch, made of electricity. The swelling and rash can last for hours, and the pain for much longer. It's nature's way of saying, stop touching things that look like cursed wigs. The hag caterpillar spends its days hiding on the undersides of leaves, particularly on oak, hickory, apple, and other broadleaf trees. Its matted, fuzzy look isn't just for show. It's camouflage, and it works disturbingly well. Half the time, you'll only notice it after it's noticed you. And by then, it's too late. If you spot one, don't panic. You don't need to torch your yard. Just use a stick, pruning tool, or even a leaf to gently flick it into a jar, then relocate or dispose of it. Gloves are mandatory because the spines can still sting after the caterpillar is gone. If you do get zapped, use tape to pull out the hairs, then rinse, apply ice, and question your life choices. When it eventually becomes a moth, it actually looks kind of cute, in a fuzzy, plump sort of way. You'd never connect that pudgy adult to the eldritch little creature it once was. But every gardener who's found one knows the hag moth caterpillar isn't just ugly, it's a living jump scare. Proof that sometimes Mother Nature has a flair for the grotesque and a wicked sense of humor. Fire ants. There's a good reason everyone who's ever met a fire ant remembers it. These little red demons don't bite. They attack. They swarm, sting repeatedly, and leave behind burning welts that feel like someone lit a match under your skin. It's not a cute nickname either. Fire is exactly what it feels like. Native to South America, but now terrorizing the southern United States. Fire ants have turned ordinary yards into minefields. You can spot their mounds easily enough. Fluffy, crumbly hills that look harmless until you accidentally step on one. Within seconds, they boil out in a coordinated rage, climbing your legs, your tools, and anything else within reach. One stings, then another, then 50 more. And here's the kicker. Each sting injects a venom that forms a painful, pus-filled blister. If you pop it, it'll scar. If you don't, it'll itch for days. Pick your poison. What makes fire ants especially scary isn't just their pain tolerance or yours. It's their sheer organization. They're miniature soldiers, constantly rebuilding, scouting, and defending their territory with military precision. Kill a mound, and they'll just move over a few feet and start fresh, often overnight. Pour boiling water on them? They'll tunnel deeper and resurface somewhere else. Spray them? The survivors scatter, regroup, and come back stronger. It's like fighting a living, stinging hydra. They also have a disturbing ability to float. Entire colonies will raft themselves together during floods, bobbing along the surface like a biological nightmare boat until they find new ground. Gardeners in the South have learned to watch where they step and where they wade. So what's a gardener to do? Baits work best, but patience is key. You're not killing ants so much as waging psychological warfare. Use slow-acting poison so they carry it back to the queen. Take her out, and the colony falls apart. Skip that step, and she'll just replace every fallen soldier with 10 more. Fire ants earn their spot on this list, not just for the pain they cause, but for the audacity. They don't sneak around like other bugs. They announce themselves with fire, fury, and teamwork. And in the gardening world, Nothing's scarier than a pest that fights back. The wheel bug. Imagine a medieval torture device that sprouted wings, legs, and an attitude problem. Congratulations, you've just pictured the wheel bug. This large, gray assassin bug is one of the most intimidating insects in North America. It gets its name from the spiny, gear-like wheel on its back, which looks like something out of a steampunk fever dream. It's also a walking contradiction, a valuable garden ally that scares the life out of anyone who meets it. At first glance, the wheel bug looks slow, even clumsy. But don't be fooled. It's a silent killer. It hunts caterpillars, beetles, grasshoppers, and other soft-bodied pests by stabbing them with a needle-like beak. Then, it injects digestive enzymes that liquefy the victim's insides and drinks them like a bug smoothie. It's gruesome, effective, and a little too vivid for comfort. The wheel bug doesn't just eat its prey, it dissolves it. For gardeners, that makes it a kind of anti-hero. You don't want to touch it, but you do want it around. Unfortunately, it doesn't know how to respect personal space. If handled or threatened, it'll jab that same beak into human skin. And the resulting bite? It's legendary. People compare it to getting stabbed with a red-hot needle, followed by swelling numbness and a bruise that can last for weeks. Some victims say it's worse than a wasp sting. That's saying something. You'll often find wheel bugs patrolling shrubs, tomato plants, or trees, especially where other insects are abundant. They're easy to recognize. Grayish-brown body, big head, long legs, and that bizarre cogwheel rising from their thorax like a crown of nightmares. They move with eerie precision, like they're thinking about whether you're worth the effort. Despite their horror movie design, wheel bugs are beneficial predators. They keep pest populations down naturally, no chemicals required. The trick is to admire them from a safe distance. No handling, no flicking, no relocating. If you must move one, use a stick, not your fingers. Every gardener who's seen a wheel bug up close knows the feeling. Fascination mixed with a strong desire to take one giant step backward. They're the perfect example of nature's dark humor. A creature that looks like it escaped from a bug-themed nightmare, but actually works for you. Just don't forget who's holding the syringe. The Jerusalem cricket, aka the potato bug. Some bugs are scary because they sting. Others are scary because they look like they were designed in a lab to haunt your dreams. Enter the Jerusalem cricket, aka the potato bug, a creature so unsettling that even seasoned gardeners hesitate before scooping one up with a trowel. It's big, bald, and disturbingly human-faced, with shiny amber skin and thick, spiny legs built for digging. If Tim Burton ever needed a bug sidekick for one of his movies, this would be it. The potato bug isn't actually a true cricket or native to Jerusalem. It's found mostly in the western U.S. and parts of Mexico. You'll spot it under rocks, logs, or in loose soil, especially after rain. They're nocturnal, emerging at night to hunt smaller insects and nibble on decaying plant matter. So far, so normal. Until one of them looks up at you. The first time you make eye contact with a Jerusalem cricket, you realize why people give them nicknames like Child of the Earth and the bug that shouldn't exist. Their appearance alone earns them a place on this list, but they also have attitude. Corner one, and it'll hiss. Yes, hiss. by rubbing its hind legs against its abdomen. It can also bite with surprising force, breaking skin if you handle it carelessly. The bite isn't venomous, but it's more than enough to make you regret trying to pick it up for a closer look. Despite their creep factor, Jerusalem crickets play a useful role in the garden. They aerate the soil, break down organic matter, and help keep other insects in check. They're like the gravediggers of the insect world, grim, quiet, and necessary. Still, no one's ever happy to meet one unexpectedly. Imagine reaching into a planter and pulling up something that looks like a bald hamster with too many legs. It's enough to make even bug lovers flinch. If you find one in your garden, the best move is to gently relocate it. They're slow, solitary, and prefer to mind their own business. But between the hiss, the human face, and those oversized jaws, it's hard not to back away anyway. The Jerusalem cricket doesn't need venom or fangs to be terrifying. Its looks do all the work. The kissing bug, triatomine bug. With a name like kissing bug, you'd expect something cute. Maybe a harmless little insect fluttering around flowers. Nope. This is one of the most misleading names in the entire animal kingdom. The kissing bug doesn't want to kiss you, it wants your blood. Specifically, the blood from around your mouth and eyes while you sleep. If that doesn't qualify as nightmare fuel, nothing does. These stealthy parasites are native to the southern U.S., Mexico, and Central and South America. They come out at night, drawn to the carbon dioxide you exhale. While you're snoozing peacefully, they creep up, jab you with their straw-like mouthparts, and take a quiet sip. You usually don't feel a thing. The bite is almost painless. But the real trouble starts after they've had their fill. Kissing bugs often defecate near the wound, and if you scratch in your sleep, you can rub that waste right into the bite. Hidden in that mess, Trypanosoma cruzi, the parasite that causes Chagas disease. Now, not every kissing bug carries the parasite, but enough do to make this a genuine public health concern. Chagas can cause serious heart and digestive issues years after infection, and it's often undiagnosed because symptoms don't show up right away. It's one of those slow burn diseases that makes the kissing bug extra creepy. You might never know that an insect's midnight snack left a long-term souvenir. In the garden, you'll find them hiding in woodpiles, under mulch, or in animal burrows, especially near lights or pet areas. They look somewhat like assassin bugs, with long heads, dark bodies, and orange-striped edges along their abdomen. That resemblance isn't accidental. Kissing bugs are technically a type of assassin bug, just one that traded pest control for vampirism. The best defense is prevention. Keep outdoor lights minimal, move wood piles away from the house, and make sure windows and doors are sealed tight. If you find one indoors, don't squash it with your bare hands. Scoop it up with gloves or a container and report it to your local health department for testing. The kissing bug's terror doesn't come from size or venom, but stealth. It waits until you're asleep, sneaks in like a thief, and feeds on your face. It's the insect equivalent of a horror movie villain, polite enough to kiss you goodnight, but you'll wish it hadn't. The velvet ant, aka the cow killer. The velvet ant is the insect world's biggest liar because it's not actually an ant at all. It's a type of wingless wasp covered in fuzzy red or orange hair that makes it look like a plush toy you absolutely should not touch. The nickname cow killer comes from local legend, which claims its sting is so painful it could take down a full-grown cow. That's an exaggeration, probably, but if you get stung, you might sympathize with the cow anyway. The female velvet ant roams the ground alone, her bright colors screaming, "Don't even think about it." And that's no bluff. Her sting ranks among the most excruciating in the insect kingdom. One entomologist famously rated it a solid 3 out of 4 on the Schmidt Pain Index, describing it as blinding, fierce, and shockingly electric. In plain English, it hurts like sin. Victims say the pain can last up to half an hour, leaving a burning welt that refuses to be ignored. You'll find velvet ants throughout the southern and western United States, scurrying across sandy soil, lawns, and garden beds. They move fast, so fast, in fact, that you might not realize what you're looking at until it's halfway to your shoe. The males can fly, but the females can't. Instead, they rely on attitude, armor, and that venom-loaded stinger to stay alive. Their life cycle is as weird as their looks. Velvet ants are parasites. The female sneaks into the underground nests of other wasps or bees, lays her egg beside the host's larvae, and lets her offspring do the rest. When it hatches, it devours the host larva and takes over the nest. So not only can the cow killer sting like a flamethrower, it's also running a horror movie daycare underground. The good news? They're solitary and don't go looking for trouble. Step on one barefoot, though, and you'll be doing an interpretive dance in your yard that your neighbors will talk about for years. Control isn't necessary. Just watch where you walk and let them do their thing. The velvet ant earns its place on this list for sheer intimidation factor. It doesn't sneak, it doesn't swarm, and it doesn't hide. It just struts around in neon warning colors like it owns the joint. And honestly, it does. Spider mites. If the saddleback caterpillar is a visible ouch, spider mites are the invisible kind. The kind that slowly destroys your garden while you're busy admiring how great it looks. They're tiny, about the size of a grain of dust, but don't let that fool you. Spider mites are silent plant vampires, feeding by piercing leaf cells and sucking out the juices. The result? A fine speckling of pale dots that quickly turns into bronzed, curled, lifeless leaves. One day, your plant looks healthy. A week later, it looks like it went through a drought and a sandstorm at once. These pests thrive in hot, dry conditions, especially when plants are stressed or dusty. They spin delicate webbing on the undersides of leaves, which might look whimsical until you realize your plant is being drained faster than a soda at a summer picnic. That webbing also shelters their eggs, which hatch into new generations every few days. You can spray, prune, curse, and plead, but once spider mites take hold, it's like trying to evict glitter from your carpet. Their true horror lies in how stealthy they are. You rarely notice them until the damage is done. A plant might look slightly dull for a few days, then suddenly crash. Shake a leaf over a white sheet of paper, and you'll see what's really happening. Hundreds of tiny moving dots, each one a spider mite with an appetite. Under magnification, They look like miniature ticks with 8 legs and an attitude. And if that doesn't give you the creeps, nothing will. The list of plants they attack reads like a gardener's shopping list. Tomatoes, beans, roses, cucumbers, herbs, houseplants. Even trees aren't safe. Once they start multiplying, they can move from plant to plant with the breeze or on your hands and clothes. Chemical sprays sometimes make things worse by killing off their natural predators, like ladybugs and predatory mites. So control often means using insecticidal soap, neem oil, or a stern lecture and a hose set to blast. If you've ever had them, you know the despair, the yellowing leaves, the ghostly webbing, the realization that you're sharing your garden with an army of microscopic horrors. The only comfort is that everyone gets them eventually. Spider mites are the universe's way of humbling gardeners, proof that even the tiniest bugs can bring the biggest headaches. The tomato hornworm. Few insects can strike fear into the heart of a gardener quite like the tomato hornworm. They don't sting, they don't bite, and they won't crawl up your leg, but they will devour your tomato patch like a biblical plague. These green giants are the larval form of the sphinx moth, a large, fast-flying pollinator that looks like a cross between a hummingbird and a jet. The moth is beautiful, graceful, and completely blameless. The caterpillar it leaves behind, however, that's the stuff of gardening nightmares. Tomato hornworms can reach up to 4 inches long and blend into stems and leaves so perfectly they seem invisible until half your plant disappears overnight. They can strip a tomato, pepper, or eggplant bare in record time, leaving behind nothing but stems, droppings, and heartbreak. The first clue is usually the damage, not the culprit. Then, one morning, you see it. A thick green caterpillar with diagonal white stripes, a black horn on its tail, and an expression that somehow says, "What are you going to do about it?" They're eating machines, capable of consuming an entire leaf in minutes. If you listen closely, you can even hear them chew. A soft, raspy sound that's strangely ominous once you realize what it means. Finding one is both fascinating and horrifying, like discovering a small alien in your vegetable patch. They're slow-moving, but somehow that makes them creepier. They just sit there, chomping steadily, completely unfazed by your outrage. Control usually involves the most primitive method of all: hand picking. Gloves recommended. Drop them into soapy water, feed them to the chickens, or, if you're feeling merciful, relocate them far from your garden. You'll often see hornworms covered in tiny white cocoons, which means parasitic wasps have already taken care of business for you. In that case, let nature finish the job. As frustrating as they are, it's hard not to admire their final form. The 5-spotted hawk moth, an elegant nocturnal flyer that hovers like a hummingbird and pollinates night-blooming flowers. It's the only moment of redemption in the hornworm's short, gluttonous life. Still, when it's your tomatoes on the menu, admiration takes a back seat to vengeance. The tomato hornworm earns its spot here for the sheer shock value of finding one and the speed with which it turns homegrown pride into leafless tragedy. The house centipede. You can keep your wasps, your stinging caterpillars, and your fire ants. Nothing triggers pure, instinctive terror quite like a house centipede sprinting across the floor. It's not poisonous enough to kill you. It's not even a true garden pest, but it moves like something straight out of a nightmare. A blur of twitching legs and too many joints to count. It appears out of nowhere, scuttles across your wall at 40 miles per hour, or so it feels, and vanishes before your brain fully processes what just happened. House centipedes are actually beneficial predators, feasting on spiders, roaches, silverfish, termites, and other crawlies you don't want indoors. But try explaining that to someone who's just watched one sprint out from under a flower pot like a hairy noodle on roller skates. They're fast, long-legged, and somehow seem to teleport. The first rule of house centipedes is simple. You never see just one. You survive just one. Outdoors, they lurk in damp areas like compost piles, garden debris, and understones. Indoors, they move in for the same reason you would: food and shelter. That's right. If you're seeing house centipedes in your home, congratulations. You've already got enough smaller bugs to sustain a predator population. They're a symptom of success, if by success you mean involuntary participation in a food chain. They look worse than they are. The bite of a house centipede is too weak to pierce human skin in most cases, though they can deliver a mild nip if provoked. Still, the psychological damage far outweighs the physical risk. Their 30 delicate legs seem to flow like liquid as they run, and their body length can reach 2 inches, not counting the antennae that double that impression. It's like watching a living feather duster that eats nightmares. If you can stomach it, let them stay. They'll quietly patrol your home and garden for smaller pests, saving you a few headaches and maybe a spray bottle or two of insecticide. But for most people, that's a big if. The house centipede earns the final spot on this list, not because it's deadly, but because it's pure nightmare fuel. It's the only bug that can make you drop your coffee, question your life choices, and sprint across the room faster than it does. And that's saying something. And there you have it. 10 reasons your garden might actually be a horror movie in disguise. From stinging caterpillars to bugs that snack on your face, it's a miracle any of us ever step outside. But here's the twist. Every one of these creepy crawlies has its place. Even the biters and the stingers are part of the balance. They just don't care if they balance it on you. So next time you see something crawling under a leaf, maybe don't scream. Just step back, grab your camera, and appreciate that you found one of nature's tiny monsters in the wild. Then, by all means, scream. If you enjoyed this tour through the Garden of Nightmares, hit that like button, subscribe for more garden lore. And remember, it's not paranoia if the bugs really are out to get you.